Zondi. I have your technology and social media news. Now, if you want to be a part of this tech discussion, find us on SABC Network, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, let's start with the technology and social media news. We get to see what was showcased at this year's Demo Africa. iPhone celebrates its 10th anniversary. We discuss latest technology used in today's filmmaking with Zheng Wen, the Counselor of Culture from the Chinese Embassy in South Africa. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. So tell us, what should moviegoers expect from these high-tech movies?
Okay, first of all, I would like to talk about the film itself. It's telling the story of a former Chinese soldier who fighting against terrorists, saving Chinese and African worker, and so that's tell the story. We fighting together. We are friends.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's stop it right there, but we'll get back to it later on the show. Okay, now let's start with our social media and technology news. Ranging from games to mobile payment systems, entrepreneurs from across Africa met in Johannesburg to share their high-tech innovation ideas to potential investors and partners at Demo Africa. Take a look.
African tech startups gathered in Johannesburg for the 6th annual Demo Africa conference. This is where young entrepreneurs, mentors, and big investors meet to talk about all things tech.
Demo Africa is an initiative. So what we do is every year we go across the continent identifying interesting technology startups. Early stage guys who've just started doing whatever they're doing with technology, bring them together, put a bit of effort into mentorship, connect them with different resources, then we launch them in front of investors.
Many developers are seeking ways to reach customers who use mobile phones to connect to the internet.
I saw people dying from fake and substandard medication, and I wanted to do something about it and be part of the African success story.
Potential investors assembled here know that African economies are among the fastest growing in the world, and every year more Africans are coming online, opening up big opportunities for e-commerce.
Are these ventures, are these innovations, are these technologies worthy of investment? And then the second criteria is going to be investment ready, because even though it may be investment worthy, it may not be ready for investment yet. So the judges have the challenge of trying to decide both.
The Gauteng Department of Small Business Development also intends to use Demo Africa as a way of mobilizing the city's private wealth and to encourage individuals with means to invest in the startups.
It is about commercializing that innovation and also patenting and protecting it so that they can build sustainable businesses out of it and creating a market for them.
Both local and international key industry players such as Microsoft and Lions Africa showed interest in some of the pitches done by small businesses.
As of today, we have been supporting around 100 startups in the continent, and they got technical support from our team, business support, as well as funding, both from Microsoft, and we also help them raise funds outside of the company.
Most of these products are ready to launch as is, but many are still looking for operating partners or funding to get off the ground. With the right resources, it could be that the next Twitter or the next Amazon will come from Africa.
The Goethe Institute in Johannesburg hosted 25 international game developers over a week to exchange and create new games and try new games at the Game Mixer.
Bringing together 30 international game developers, the Game Jam is a celebration of gaming innovation and culture. Hosted by the Goethe Institute, Game Jam aims to promote professional exchange between game developers from around the world.
For us, it's just interesting to engage with the gaming sector. First of all, because we think it's a very interesting creative expression. It's an art form in many ways. It's not just entertainment. And we think there are many interesting stories that can be told with games. And secondly, gaming is also a very important part of the creative industries and actually a job generator as well. So as part of our engagement with the creative industries, we're interested in engaging with the gaming sector.
South African game designer Jeff Rush developed a game that allows communities to learn about the importance of spatial problems of informal settlement in the Western Cape.
And we partnered up with a company, NGO, Ikailami, and they focus on reblocking townships. As you know, it's like an emergent settlement. You know, there's not proper roads, there's not proper infrastructure. And you know, in Western Cape, we've had lots of fires, township fires, and then what must happen? It's hard to get to people. Where's the place that the point of origin is? So what Ikailami specializes doing is reblocking these settlements, and we partnered up with them because we find technology is a great way to kind of get a lot of data from people.
Mzito, a 2D follower platform adventure game for mobile platform, is a simple game centered around cultural and semi-fictional characters that are chosen by ancient African spirits. It's from a Kenyan company called Wiza.
Mzito in Swahili means heavy or heavy, but when we use it, it means to be heavy with something, heavy with wisdom, heavy with learning, heavy with power, heavy with potential. And as Mzito, you're sort of like the chosen one, chosen with a lot of potential. So that's what we try to convey with the word Mzito. And you're sort of this chosen person, and you have to go through this epic journey around Africa to sort of save Africa, sort of unite it and chase away this dark corruption that has darkened our continent.
In its third year, the Game Mixer program seeks to mix up the international game development scene even further. Its finale will be a game jam where participants will have the opportunity to familiarize themselves with each other's works.
Now, we were invited to the iPhone's 10th anniversary celebration at a glamorous event here in Johannesburg. And there we asked people if they remembered exactly where they were when Steve Jobs announced the very first iPhone. And this is what they said.
The first iPhone in 2007. We just thought, you know, it's been 10 years now since the launch of the first phone. And with this iPhone 10 now being launched, it just made a lot of sense for us to throw a party for our customers that support us so loyally.
I was in grade 1 10 years ago. I was in Cape Town. I'm originally from Cape Town. So I was in Cape Town and I was just so amazed by the iPhone. My first iPhone though was the iPhone 3G.
I can't even remember. I mean, I was in Johannesburg. I'm not sure where I was. What was I doing? I don't know.
I was pregnant and playing on my iPhone.
So you already had one already?
When it was coming out, I came from overseas.
I was still in high school in 2007. Yeah.
So how many have you owned so far?
I don't own an iPhone.
In 2007, when the iPhone was launched, I was still at school, somewhere in KZN. I've owned all the iPhones. Basically, I can't wait to get my hands on an iPhone X. I'm very unique. I'm into quality and style. So the only phone that can keep up with me is Apple. I can only say that it's the only Skotane phone that I can only enjoy.
Skotane phone, lots of iPhone lovers out there. After the break, we talk about the use of technology in movie making with Council of Culture from the Chinese Embassy in South Africa, Mr. Zheng Wen. Stay tuned.
News, business, sports and weather from local and around the globe here on News Today.
It was important for me to nip all of these issues in the bud as they appear so that we can give the assurance to the holders of pensions.
South Africa has more than 24,000 plant species which can be used to generate income for her citizens.
People believe that we as Africans have very little to offer the world in terms of science and technology.
The 24-year-old was the last rider to report after a break of more than 180 kilometers in Sunday's men's elite race at the World Road Championships in Bergen, Denmark. Smit is also the African road race champion, the South African race champion and the South African time trial champion.
Tune in to News Today every Monday to Friday from 3 to 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. Now, the film industry is constantly coming up with new ways that test boundaries of filmmaking. This is to make the experience more real for the consumer. A Chinese film, Wolf Warrior 2, is also testing these boundaries on the use of technology in filmmaking. Let's take a look at this short clip.
You know, they say violence never solves anything. It sure is fun. Look at this. Oh, I love these things.
有人吗？我是来救你们的。我这有18个 AK，30枚79式手雷，都武装营加长牌了吧？ 你他妈怎么救我们啊 ？Wolf Warrior。男人就该玩这个。这种仗，战狼会怎么打？ All right, let's move out, boys.
非洲有狼的吗？
开炮！
An action-packed movie indeed. Now joining me in studio to discuss this is Councillor Jiang Wen from the Chinese Embassy in South Africa. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great, and thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you.
Councillor, please tell us more about this film.
So it's a story about a former Chinese soldier who fight against terrorists together with African people. So we fight together, telling the story, we fight together. We are indeed friends, and we are friends in need.
So, I mean, it's pretty action-packed. Yes. So I want to know what makes it stand out from all the other box office films that we've seen or that are in movies at the moment.
So it is kind of a historical, break a lot of historical record regarding the film industry. It is topped over 11 billion rand in the Chinese market. So it's never a film could reach such kind of a level. So it is a great success regarding the film industry itself.
Okay, let's talk about some of the technology used in the making of this particular film. What are some of that? Can you just take us through that?
So, you know, it is a kind of an action film. And regarding the action film, China have a very strong tradition of action film, but it's also called Kung Fu film. So it is well known in the world, especially in the African continent. But such kind of film, Kung Fu film, I mean, it's a kind of classical style. and a lot of classical film star and a lot of classical hero was created, like Jackie Chan, like Bruce Lee, like Jet Li. But these also tell a story of a hero, but it's a new type of hero. It's a hero living in the age of internet, in the age of mobile phone. So even there's a plot of the film. He is not fighting himself. Actually, he is strongly supported by the UN, by the United Nations, as well as by the Chinese government, as well as the African people. So there's a plot that he connected by cell phone with the Chinese warship, and so just now, then the Chinese warship launched the missile to the rebellion, to the terrorists.
And just by cell phone?
Yes, connected by cell phone.
Okay. So would you say the main character is a social justice hero, maybe?
Yes, the role was, his name is Lang Feng. He was a former soldier, and he fight in the African continent against the rebellion, against the terrorists. So, but actually he's not fight himself. He fight together with African people.
Okay. So how do you assist filmmakers to constantly be current in how they use technologies in making their movies, in telling their stories?
So actually, regarding the production of film itself, it is also adopted a lot of new technology, like what I said, like what I mentioned, it's using the cell phone, but also there's a lot of new scenes was produced, like so there's a lot of other movie about car chasing, but in this film, it's a tank chasing, a tank drift. So the tank fighting each other, and so it's create a new image. Also, I would like to say it's a kind of a co-production between Chinese filmmaker with their counterpart in African. So large portion of the scenes was produced in African, including South Africa.
Okay, so would you say virtually so? Were they also they were in 2 countries, like around? So they filmed in 2 different countries?
Yes. It's early of this year. It was produced. Take a lot of scenes was shot in South Africa, including like Slanty Town in Alexander, also the Lion Zone, and so a lot of scenes were shot in South Africa.
Okay, that'll be all for today. Thank you so much, Councillor, for coming through to the network.
Thank you very much.
That was Councillor Zheng Wen from the Chinese Embassy in South Africa. Now, we caught up with TV personality and musician Rorisang Thandikiso, and she told us about her favorite piece of technology.
Hello, my name is Rorisang Thandikiso, and my favorite gadget has got to be an iPhone. I know it sounds like very cliche because we're here, but it really has saved me a lot of times. I get to do my emails, dope pictures, social media. It's my world in like a little device that I get to carry everywhere, and it's cute.
Rights and recourse tackles constitutional issues.
When South Africa became a constitutional democracy, we had a fairly sound legal system in place requiring the constitution to guide the direction in which it must go and the way in which it must be refashioned.
The Justice Ministry, the custodian of human rights.
We actually have a plan to come up with a comprehensive review of our human rights instrument.
Advocates dealing with evidence.
Sometimes you have to use a crook to catch a crook. So we expected that the credibility would really be taken to task. You try and consult your witnesses and prepare them as best as you can.
Hashtag Rights with Dumila Matez on legal issues every Sunday at 2 o'clock Central African time. Show me a greater power on the whole continent of Africa. Show me a greater power anyway.
6th of June 1918 was the establishment of our movement
to maintain that. We need to do something about the educational upliftment of the Afrikaner, and we also need to do something about the economic upliftment of the Afrikaner. And that was the two main goals at that stage in 1918.
The Brotherhood never was a cultural organization. It was a state-capturing organization. It is, in fact...
I like that term.
It has captured the financial systems. It has captured the parastatals. It has captured cultural organizations.
For all your constitutional and legal matters, tune into Rights and Recourse on Sundays between 2 and 3 Central African Time.
Welcome back. Now, Egyptian students have developed their own underwater submarine. China held its high-tech fair recently. These are some of the tech stories that made international headlines.
Starting in Egypt, engineering graduates from Alexandria University have developed a submarine robot which the team hopes will be commissioned by the government to use at various oil sites instead of having to rely on costly imported robotic technology.
Our team was established 3 years ago after realizing that in the Arab world there is no manufacturing of remotely operated underwater vehicles, but it is present internationally. When we traveled to the United States last year to participate in a competition, we discovered that there are a lot of companies around the world that manufacture this product, but not in the Arab world.
It's fitted with a camera, so it could also be used for underwater diagnostics. In China, the use of new materials like graphene in clothing and high-tech gadgets like bone conduction headphones amazed visitors at the 19th China High-Tech Fair in the city of Shenzhen.
This is the graphene membrane, and this is the core of the graphene. Graphene is a nanoscale carbon atom material with the minimum electrical resistivity and the strongest hardness in the world, so it can conduct heat really quickly.
First, the headphone is healthy to use as it has nothing to do with the eardrum. Second, it's also safe to use. Now, it's not rare to see accident caused by looking down at the phone. So if we keep our ears open, we hear horns or people shouting at us.
The fair has ended. Still in China, Volkswagen says it plans to spend 165 billion rand by 2025 to develop and manufacture all-electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles as it seeks to comply with upcoming stringent rules in China. In India, a century-old theatre in the southern city of Chennai has been able to retain the old-world experience of film viewing as it still runs films with the help of a projector and reel box. Established in 1916 by a British patron by the name of W.H. Murch, Patcher Theatre, which was earlier known as the Minerva, has been successfully running this old technology to date.
In today's situation, we still have old cinemas at our shows. We still use the old practice of playing movies with the help of a reel box. We do not use cube system or the latest version of EFO technology and still stick to the old practice.
The theatre was a premier destination for people wanting to watch English feature films and was the first theatre to enforce the adults-only age code before its popularity started declining with the rise of digital cinema post-1970.
With all that Black Friday frenzy finally gone, South Africans and others in the world over are getting ready for Cyber Monday, the online version of the great shopping deals. Though not as prominent as in the Western world, e-commerce in South Africa is also on the rise.
It's the real deal. Any savvy shopper can cash in on the specials without spending time in queues and traffic, trying to move from one destination to another. While e-commerce is still in its infancy in South Africa compared to global standards, Both the consumer and retail sectors are warming up to the use of technology to deliver and acquire goods and services.
We spent the better part of the year negotiating with our really big brands and suppliers, and our retail team do a lot of research and analysis as to what's going to be the most popular deals. And we've got a lot of intel from what's worked in the last years and pretty much what sells and is trending at the moment. So we look at trying to curate a bunch of deals across our 21 departments. And this year we've got about 15,000 deals that are going to be, up to 60%. Some deals are going to be up to 70, 80%.
From placing a food delivery order, buying clothing, booking a taxi ride, or renewing your license disc, it's all being integrated into the virtual world and is available at your fingertips. With the craziness of Black Friday gone, South Africans are preparing their fingers for the online version of great deals called Cyber Monday. Analysts say e-commerce is likely to get a boost as some consumers avoided the long queues associated with such shopping sprees.
We try and encourage customers to one, have a budget, and number two, the beauty of shopping online is that you can go on beforehand and you can window shop, for want of a better word, and look across all the different categories and put things into your wish list, and you can set yourself a specific budget. And then you check out only on that budget. You're not sort of in the frenzy of the kind of brick and mortar world. You can actually meter yourself. And you can do that from the luxury of your armchair in your pajamas at 12 all the way through the day.
Local e-tailers, both established brands and small niche players, are all on board.
This week, a poll has been asking what type of electronic gift you would like to get for Christmas. Most people said mobile phones. That figure is at 44%. 20% of respondents said the smartwatch. 15% of the people said gaming consoles. That figure is in the last place. And 21% of the people said other. I don't know what other is. Now that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and it's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. We'll leave you with visuals of the high-tech fair that took place in China recently. Now for me and the rest of the network team, ciao ciao.